everyone, I'm Morgan, and today I wanted to talk to you about the books I read in the month of June. I read 9 books in June, which was cool enough, I'd say. A lot of them were audiobooks because I still had exams at the beginning of the month, and the rest I took out from the library. But without further ado, let's just get into it. So I will, as usual, talk about the books from the one I like the least to the one I like the most. So the book I liked the least in June was Magic for Liars by Sarah Gailey. This was about a woman who is a private investigator, and her sister is a mage. So people don't know about magic in this book, but her sister works in this magical school, and it gave me a lot of the magician's vibes, which was cool. I mean, that's what I like about the magicians, like magical school, kind of, well, it's a high school, but I think they also do college, but I'm not too sure. So the magic part was kind of cool, though it wasn't explained much, and so she is recruited to solve this murder. Well, yeah, there was a murder at this school, and she has to find out who did it. Everyone says it was a suicide, but the headmaster, should I say, doesn't believe that. So she's there to find out what really happened. It started out really well, but very early on it became not so great because, first of all, I don't really like the main character. She's very self-deprecating and just not great, you know. There's also kind of a romance that starts that isn't great with her, and many other things that I thought were not great, and the ending wasn't really satisfying. I mean, I kind of knew who had done the murder from the beginning, but I mean, I didn't know how or why, but she took a lot of time to find things out, and I didn't think it was really great. The main character wasn't great, the story in itself wasn't anything special. Yeah, just overall disappointing. This is also a recent release. It went out in the beginning of June, I think, so I wanted to read it. The next book I want to talk about is another disappointment for me, and that is Matilda by Roald Dahl. This used to be my favorite book when I was a kid. I think I read this like at least 5 times or maybe 10, but I don't like it anymore, unfortunately. I think it doesn't age well because I talked about this book with my mother and about the stuff that bothered me. So you see, the story of Matilda is about this little girl, Matilda, who's extremely smart and lives with this family that doesn't want her to read. They destroy her books that she takes from the library. They tell her that she should watch TV instead of reading, and they're just plain horrible from beginning to end. And the thing is, well, for one, I don't like that all the characters are all black and white, and it tells you from the beginning also that Matilda is very humble and all that, but to me, she always made a point to tell everyone that she knew things, and I think that when you're really smart, you don't need to show that you know things, you just do. So, that bothered me, and just overall, yeah, just too much black and white, you know? Like, I like my characters to be a bit more complicated, just yeah, just more thought out. And I get that that's probably because it's a middle grade, but still that wasn't great. And the character that is supposed to be like all bad again is just completely bad. Like there's not anything that is remotely interesting about her, I would say. And I don't know. I was really disappointed. I didn't think it was anything special, but I guess from the perspective of a kid, it must be really different. So I didn't rate this book obviously because I'm not like the target audience, but I wish uh, my childhood favorite was better, but it wasn't, unfortunately. Then I want to talk about City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. I listened to this one on audiobook. I thought it was really cool. I like the story. So you follow this girl who can see ghosts because she had a near-death experience at some point, and so her best friend is a ghost. It's really fun. It's really nice, and it's just my problem with Victoria Schwab in general, with all her books that I have read, and I've read a few, is that they're just like there's not much to them, you know. Like you could sum up the plot in less than a page, and you wouldn't really be missing much. I mean, I get that a story can be like character based, and I love character based stories, but there really isn't much. Like even the characters, you don't get too much out of them. They grow, but like slightly grow. Um, I don't know, like nothing happens almost. I mean, no, there is stuff happening, like, but again, it happens really fast. I would say. There's like a huge build up always to a big thing, and then when that thing happens, you're like, that's just that? And yeah, it's just resolved like that at the end, and you're like, okay. So I wouldn't say like don't read it, but it's really forgettable, I would say. Unfortunately. But yeah. The next book I want to talk about is The Coincidence Authority by John Ironmonger. This one I had been meaning to pick up for a few years. I just really like the cover. So this book is about two people. This woman who at the age of two, I think, I think it was two, was abandoned at this fair in the UK, and she didn't remember who her parents were, where she lived, or anything else. So she was brought up by another family. She was adopted, and she never knew where she came from. But little by little, she learned a bit about her story, and there are a lot of coincidences. So she goes where she's really older, like 30, more than 30 years old. She goes to this man who is a professor at the same university she is. She teaches, who works on coincidences, and they start a friendship, and she tells him about her life and all the coincidences, many people in her family who have died on the same day, and other stuff. There are a lot of mystery elements into it about her life. You know, we get snippets all over about her life, which I really enjoyed. It goes back and forth in time, so we see stuff that happened when she was little, also stuff before she was born with her mother and stuff. We learn about her story, and there's also like a romance building between the two of them. It was really sweet, like I enjoyed it, but again, I would say it's pretty forgettable at some point. The writing wasn't too fluid, I would say. It was, I don't know how to say it really. It it wasn't painful to read, but a few things didn't seem really well written. It was like, it was a bit dry, maybe. That was it. And so that just impacted the book for me. But I did really enjoy it. I just wish it had been still a bit better. And I hoped for a different ending, I guess. It was just, it wrapped up okay, but I just wish, I don't know, there was more to it, I guess. The next book I'm going to talk to you about is Dune by Frank Herbert. This one was a reread for me. I read it for the first time like more than 6 years ago, so I didn't really remember much. But the few things I did remember were the only ones I did like. So this book follows Paul, who at the beginning of the book has to move to this planet with his mother and his father. My camera stopped filming for some reason, so I don't know where I was, but I was talking to you about this book. So you have the Harkonnens who are trying to take back the planet where they are. They used to reign on it before the Atreides, so the family of Paul. And I like the plot, you know, like I don't know, there's also kind of mind reading and like their religion, but I really hate the writing like so bad. The thing about this book, so for 200 pages, like the first 200, it was pretty interesting. I was intrigued and all. Then it dragged so much for like 200 more, and then it was okay. I only pushed to the end because I had read it before, so I remembered that I liked the ending, but otherwise I really would not have done it. It was not great. I mean, again, I think the idea for the book and the world is cool. I just also really don't like the characters. Like, they're not really interesting at all. Just, yeah, I don't really like them. I thought I did at first, but not really. And other than that, yeah, about the writing also. So this book is written in third person, but you also get many times characters' thoughts, like in italic. And the thing is, for one, it didn't add anything to the story whatsoever, because you always knew what they were thinking, obviously, because of the situation. Like, it didn't add anything, and sometimes it even got confusing because, like, we were following mostly one character, but then you got the thoughts of everyone in the room, and you just didn't know who was thinking anymore. Like, it got confusing and useless. So yeah, it was not great, and there's so much descriptions in this. I mean, descriptions can be good, but in here they weren't, so yeah. Just a huge disappointment, because I thought this was one of my favorite books, you know, of all time, from when I read it 6 years ago, but not anymore. Not anymore. So yeah, that was it. Then I wanted something light, so I listened to Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham on audiobook. She narrates the audiobook herself. This is her memoir, where she talks a lot about being an actress and mostly playing in Gilmore Girls, which is my favorite TV show ever. So I'm rewatching it right now, actually, for the third time. I mean, it's my third time watching, so I'm rewatching it for the second time. But so it really added to my experience of the show to get little snippets of information. And she also talked about herself, how hard it was to be single for a while, being like more than 30 years old, because everyone was already paired up, and how hard it can be to keep reinventing yourself in the acting business. This book didn't change my life in any way, but I thought it was exactly what I wanted from it. It also some really funny quotes in it, so yeah, I thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. Then I want to talk to you about On Chesil Beach by Ian McEwan. I read this one not too long ago. Uh, I thought it was great. It's like 160 pages, so short, and it's all about this couple, which we see first on their honeymoon on Chesil Beach, and then we get other snippets of their life before they got married and after. It's really beautiful. It's so well written. I thought it was just perfect. Um, Unlike a lot of short books, I didn't think it was too short, which is rare. And it talked a lot about marriage, relationships, but also just being human in general. There was a lot of thinking going on, and I just really enjoyed it. My only problem with it was the ending that I didn't love. So the book is separated into 5 parts, and the first 4 I thought were absolutely perfect. But the last the last one I didn't enjoy as much, just because I wanted a different ending. I wanted it to be more cheerful, and it wasn't. But I get, the ending. It is really realistic, but I just wished it had been different, that's all. Then I want to talk to you about On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. This book went out just a few months ago. I'd been really looking forward to reading it, and I finally did. I listened to the audiobook, which was really good. So this book is about this girl whose father died when she was little because he was a rapper, and he pissed off some people who were in gangs. She lives in the hood, as she says, and she is now 16, I think, and wants to become a rapper as well. So at the beginning of the book, she gets a spot to do this rap battle, and she becomes really famous in her little part of the world, and it all kind of goes downhill from there a bit, because, well, for one, before even that, she gets suspended from school because of an event that happens. So she goes to this private school where she is one of the only black kids, and one day she was just going to school, and she was asked to open her backpack, and she didn't want to because why would she? And when she refused, she was tackled to the ground and cuffed, like not with cuffs but with plastic, and brought to the principal's office. It's just a lot of things that happen in this book made me angry. Obviously, all about how black kids are treated in the US, and so there was a lot of uproar in her high school because of all that. Many people started to rebel, and it became a huge thing, and she really struggled with that, and also she has problems with her family. For one, her mother used to be an addict, but now she's better, but she struggles to find a job and keep one. she has a big brother who is trying to help and lives with them. She has two best friends, one one Sunny, who is just really cool and gay, and one Malik, who she really fancies, you know, at first, but then she thinks it's not that good enough idea to be interested in him. But anyway, I don't want to tell you more about the story, obviously, you will have to read it for yourself, but the audiobook is really cool because you get a lot of places where she raps, which you obviously want to hear, I guess, rather than read. And just a lot of it was really cool. I always love family dynamics in Angie Thomas's books, so that was again a strong point for this book. And it talked about a lot of heavy topics and just also a coming of age story, you know, like any other. But yeah, it was really good. I would totally recommend it. And the last book I want to talk to you about is Skyward by Sanderson. I listened to this book as well on audiobook. The audiobook was so cool. It's an Audible exclusive, so you have to get it from there. But really, so cool. This is about this girl whose father was killed when she was little because he's said to be a traitor. There was this huge battle where they were fighting aliens, and her father apparently turned himself against his camp, and so he was shut down. So she grows up with everyone thinking that her father is a traitor, and so they don't treat her well either. It's really hard for her, but she wants to become a pilot just like her father. But a lot of people obviously don't want her to be. They think she's a traitor as well, that she will just turn against them once she's in the air. But she still manages to get into flight school. It's not the end for her, obviously, because there are a lot of struggles, but it gets really good. There's so much action in this book, like, it's so cool, and that's why the audiobook was so great. I mean, for one, the narration is absolutely gorgeous, but just so much action. I mean, I really couldn't put this down. I wanted to know what happened. I mean, I'm someone who likes character-based stories usually more, but sometimes I find stories that are action-packed and I just lose myself in them, and it's so cool. So yeah, I would totally recommend it. The only bad thing I would say about it is the romance. It really doesn't take over the story, it's just a little part of it towards the end, but I thought it was a bit cringy and that it didn't need to be there at all, but still, it's just a little thing, as I said. So yeah, it's really good, and the world building is so well done. Like, I feel like most fantasy and sci-fi books I read are just terrible at world building, like you're just thrust into the world and trying to understand what's going on. But here, it wasn't like that. I didn't struggle from the beginning to understand, and it was so refreshing. And it made me really want to read other books by Sanderson. A lot of people say how great he is, and I would have to agree. So yeah, that's all for me. Thank you for watching. Please tell me if you read any of these books and what you thought of them, or what you've read in June that you really enjoyed. I'd love to know, and I hope to see you soon in another video. Goodbye! Dream I know, deep up my feelings for you.